when I finally got out of the situation I was in, I reached out to all my loved ones and I basically told them that I wanted to say thank you to them. I wanted to thank them because I always say that, like, it takes a group of bad bees, right, to get a bitch out of an abusive relationship. It takes some strong people, some strong-willed people to just stay with you. One thing I know for sure is that, like, when you're in a position that I was in, is that a lot of people give up on you because it's exhausting to be in a relationship with somebody who's in a situation like that, who doesn't see. And not just that they don't see, but they're also very vulnerable and therefore they stumble or they falter. Um, and therefore it gets tiring for the people that love them. It gets tiring to see the people that they love so much be in that position, in that situation, and just keep allowing it to be the way that it is, you know. It's in me being served by so many people who are here, people who have gone, people who empowered me, who told me that I was the shit, that I was worth something, that I was beautiful, that I was amazing, I had a great heart, and I was a good person, and I was lovable, and I was kind, and there was so many things that was lovable about me.
Life be driving me crazy, like, and my friends be like, it's not that deep, right? And the fam be saying, you're in your feelings, what? All I know is, life is raggedy.
Welcome to the Reforming Pessimist podcast. It's been a minute. It really has, Jesus. It really has. Oh my goodness. Where do I even begin? Oh, my. Okay, so songs I'm listening to of late, Dayglow, Can I Call You Tonight has been on repeat. I'm just like listening to, like, cheerful music, songs that are lifting me up, and getting me to be in the energy, in the mood. Today's episode is going to be an interesting one. I think I'm just not going to like follow the segments. I'm just kind of going to go with the flow and let the episode go. A bitch is looking cute. Now, why am I making so much effort for a podcast episode? The day I post this episode, it's actually my birthday, guys. Oh my god. I can't believe I'm another year on this earth, in this raggedy life. So I was like, let me just put in an effort. Let's put on something sparkly. You know what I mean? Something sexy. Get a hair done. Get the face beat. And look cute for this episode. Because as soon as I'm recording this and put it out there, I'm also doing this for myself. And, in doing this for myself, I kind of want to like go back and look at these videos and be like, wow, sis, is that you doing the zoo, putting it down, hitting it? So yeah, I'm putting it effort. Happy birthday to me. One more year. And this episode is going to be around that theme because, I inspire myself to do this episode. So I'm really excited. I'm going to be doing check-in, and probably the check-in is going to flow into something else and something else. I'm just kind of like, oh, let me record because I've not recorded in a while. And also, if for the two people that followed, I'm gonna put an episode out in like a couple of weeks. So this is I'm hoping I get this out. And I have the energy to put it out. So why have I not put episodes out in a bit? I kind of was consistent for a while, but I kind of had a few things revive up. Some grief stuff, some painful things, healing, and that has kind of like slowed me down a little in terms of energy, in terms of mental capacity, because we are adults in our here. I need to fund my life, so I need to work. So it's either between, do I have the mental capacity to do my job, that fund my lifestyle, plus the passion and the podcast, or do I just choose one and kind of like be gentle with myself whilst I'm healing? So I chose work. Because it pays my bills. And kind of something the podcast for, but I'm going to hopefully put something out this week because I'm kind of bouncing back and getting better. So I'm going to start with the check-in. I don't even know how I'm going to go about this check-in, but I'm going to start with the check-in. I'm just kind of going to flow into it in terms of like somebody who's healing, what this healing journey means to me, how turning another year I'm reflecting on that, and so much and so forth. It's going to be a very all over the place episode, so bear with me. Bear with me. It's a cheerful one. It's a cheerful one, but when you are healing from trauma, from abuse, from so much, it can be an ebb and flow in terms of emotions. So, I've been doing great so far, but I kind of got brought back into reality, into my healing journey, into things that's going on, due to circumstances in my life that I couldn't avoid, which means that like it's like basically like, digging something up, burying it and be like, you know what? Done, moved on. And then it popping back up again because either things need to be shared or people need to be made aware of things and stuff like that, which means that like you can't avoid things. I've realized, having gone through what I've been through, that I'm such an avoidant, and the avoidance in terms of my attachment style in particular comes from a place of being able to be like, okay, let me run away from this pain, let me run away from this issue so I can protect myself, right? And the avoidance also means that like it kind of helps me disassociate from whatever reality that I'm in terms of whatever pain that I'm carrying, so that I can just kind of like go on and live life, because it's not good to constantly be carrying the pain all the time. And in my avoidance means that like when I go back there, it's like the trenches, and there's a reviving of like, the sadness, the grief, which now more so than ever, I'm grateful that like at least this sadness has an end result and a resolution to it and an explanation behind it. So there's always ways to kind of like cope and massage and also like, comfort the sadness so that like it doesn't hopefully evolve into depression. So I'm doing great. Like I've said, that the last deep depression I had, which ended in September, yeah, around September or around August, September last year, and I've not been in depression for a while, so I have been feeling a lot of sadness, a lot of grief, which comes with healing. So it's like going back to that sadness, which is like very familiar to me because I'm so used to, because I've been in depression for years and years and years, and kind of having to be able to manage it. And then also what that sadness comes with in terms of like your physical impact on your body, the exhaustion that you feel, the tiredness, the heartbreak, the fear, the constant fear. Because even though like, when you experience traumatic things, like you get to a place of strength where you're thriving, where you're like, doing well, you survived it, there's still that kind of side of you inside of you, the younger versions of me who were so afraid of it, that panic, that gets scared, and having to go back to those younger versions of me and be like, calm down, it's not scary anymore, we're in more control, we're more protective of ourselves, we are adults, we are like all of these things that I have to do to be able to calm myself and calm my body, to be able to kind of deal with everything that I'm overcoming or I have overcome as well. So all that revision, like going back, and I'm also learning through this whole healing journey that like you just can't avoid the reality of whatever experiences that you've had, whatever nightmares that you carry, you just cannot avoid it. And it's in kind of like sitting with that and just being like, you know what, this is the reality. I see you, you see me, but we walk along with each other, we move on with each other, and we slowly but surely let it go, not forgetting, because it's always going to be with us, it's always going to be part of us, but walking with it, and hopefully it becoming less and less of a priority in your life, and hopefully get into a place of indifference where it's not so much pain, it's not so much hurt, it's not so much anguish. I will say though that in this stage that I'm in my healing journey, I was talking to my therapist about it, and it's like, oh, actually I'm in a transitional period. So I'm turning 31, guys. I'm ages old. I'm still young. Aha. And in the face, because honestly, I'm not aging. But oh, so the sun is setting. I've never recorded this early in the day, so I'm really liking the fact I'm gonna try and do more daily recording. The sun is setting, is so beautiful outside. Another thing that I really love. But anyway, back to it. I'm in a transition, right? And this transition is I have spent 30 years of my life surviving. Every day you wake up, you're like, okay, how am I gonna manage today? How am I going to go about it today? What do I need to do to protect myself? What do I need to do to build power, to sustain myself, to boost myself up? You know what I mean? To just survive this, or just to go along, That's been me the last 30 years. And for the first time in my life, I'm in a space where I wake up and I'm not surviving. I wake up and I'm not in constant, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Like, oh my God, the anxiety is not uber high. You know what I mean? The depression is not reoccurring and continues over and over again. And it's a really, really weird place to be. And what I found is that in finally getting to jumping from the space of survival, and I'll now call this is in the transition. I'm now saying I'm going through the transition to get into a place of thriving because things are beginning to look up for me. There is this exhaustion that I feel in my body. Yo, but it's not funny. There is this exhaustion that I feel in my body, just exhausted all the time. I wake up feeling good every morning, but I'm so exhausted. I'm just so tired. I don't even have the mental capacity for anything. It's like I am worn out. And in feeling this way, so like there's this need for me to quickly go and do something so I can distract myself from this feeling of rest because I'm not used to rest. I'm not used to letting my body relax. I'm not used to letting my body not be tense and just be. And so being like, oh, let me do something to distract my mind instead of actually letting my mind sit with my body and just go through this stage of the anguish of rest. Even though it is rest, it's still an anguish. It's still a painful thing because it's tough. It's just tough. So it's a very, very interesting. So this specific post was saying that like, a lot of people go through trauma. Like, they're in survival mode for so long and their body's constantly tense, anxious, just keeping them surviving. And then they finally get out of that survival mode and finally like get to a place of thriving and they feel exhausted. When they come out of it, they feel exhausted all the time and they don't understand why they feel exhausted all the time. And it's like your body's finally caught up to all the things that you were basically hiding from and your body's finally like in a place of rest. And so that's why you're always tired. That's why you're always exhausted. And that's the place where I am, where like I'm always tired, I'm always exhausted because my body is finally catching up to me after so many years of neglect. I feel like if there is anything that I've been the most neglectful to through the process of my survival, through my experience, going through the abusive relationships that I went through, going through you just surviving to just be able to be here. The most neglectful thing that I did to myself was basically punishing my body. I used to always say that like it was me bullying myself in a way, but I was surviving and my mind occupied so much of my survival that the next best thing about myself that could be neglected was my body. So I gave up on my body, I discarded my body, and I basically like just didn't pay attention to my body. And in all honesty, my body reminded me. Like, my body got back to me. She was like, sis, okay, so here are the diseases at 25. These are diseases that people will get in their late 30s, 40s, sometimes in their 50s, and I was getting that in my mid 20s. So here are some diseases for you. Oh, you're ignoring me? Okay, here's some diseases. All right, because like my mind was suffering so much and the mental illnesses were overpowering everything. So the fact that I struggled with so much depression, so much anxiety, you know what I mean? Like my eating disorder was like really, really bad. All of these things that were basically hindering me from living, and therefore because of that I neglected my body, like in terms of maintaining it, staying healthy, looking after it, all of that stuff. And my body was like, oh, okay. And then the more I push my body in terms of being like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, we're going, my body's like not in agreement with me. My body would be like, okay, let's give you chronic pain, let's give you a lot of chronic pain, backache, shoulder aches, leg aches, knee aches. Let's keep the pain going because you're not paying attention to us and we also matter. We also need to be looked after. And even in surviving as well, another neglectful thing that I did to myself, which it wasn't my fault in either way, was, in surviving from abuse, you are in a space of constant rumination, which is because you're in rumination constantly and trying to figure out how to basically understand the situation that you are in, survive what you're going through and kind of get out of it. You are very sleep deprived because you suffer with insomnia. So since I could remember, I think that like I started to realize how much I had bad insomnia when I was like 11, 12. So I've been suffering with insomnia for decades. Like for decades. And I'll make a joke with my friends and I'll be like to them, guys, like, I don't sleep. I just don't sleep. Like, I don't sleep well. Like, I'll have like 3 hours, like 4 hours, 5 hours sometimes if I'm lucky, which means I'm tired during the day a lot of the time, coupled with depression as well. And then the anxiety does keeps the rumination going and going and going because there's so much in your brain that you need to process because you just do not understand and you're being stifled. Basically, like you're being trapped, you feel trapped. I will use words like, oh, I feel like I'm in a prison, my life is a prison and I needed to escape. No, I was just in an abusive relationship. It was just like a lot of crazy things, and because of all of that my body really suffered, and now my body is recouping and recovering, and all of these things I will say that they bring some exhilaration, some joy, some gratitude to be like, oh great, like things are good, we thank God for that, like life is getting better, we're improving, things are moving forward for us. But then there's also a rage and anger for the situation that I've been in for so long that I didn't even realize that I was in. They took me so long to come out from, to recover from, and figuring out how to get out of. And then there's also sadness, a grief to what was lost. I've done a grief episode before, so if you could go back to, I think that was the last episode I dropped before this. A grief of like so much that was lost during a process because I was in a situation that was not of my own volition. I was in a situation that I got trapped in and I had to fight so hard to get out of. And that is a very painful, painful place to be for anybody out there who is in a similar situation to me, who have experience, who are recovering from it, who are still in it, have recovered from it and have so much wisdom and nuggets to share. I will appreciate it in the comment section. Please drop it because this is still going through the process. But it's weird. So I was talking to a loved one and I was telling them, having come out of this whole situation and just reflecting on it, ruminating and all of that stuff, and saying that like one thing I am grateful for is that I'm grateful that I'm finally meeting myself at 30. At this point, I'm almost 31. So I'm grateful I'm finally meeting myself at 30 because a lot of us who end up stuck in abusive relationship, abusive patterns, in situations that we didn't really choose to be in, we're just there and we end up in it. What happens to us? What happens to the life that you dreamed of? You know what I mean? What happens to the kind of reality you want to be in? What happens to yourself, your inner self, the joys that you want to pursue in life, all of that stuff? What happens to that? And I recognize the privilege of being able to come out of the situation I'm in because I see a lot of people, and some people in their 50s and they never got out and they kind of found a way to kind of make life as good as they could make it for themselves. They're in their 60s and they're still in it. And the idea of being in my 30s and finally being able to be like, oh, finally I feel a liberation to be able to live life and maybe participate in the joys of life and things that I want. Because when I was in the situation I was in, I must say that like I got to a place as I was getting older, particularly in my late teens to my 20s, where I was like, okay, I'm trapped. I didn't know the word, I didn't have the language. So I was like, I'm trapped and I know that like there's no way I could live life like any normal person would. So I just need to keep going. And I think that that's also what kind of exacerbated my suicidal ideation a lot, because my suicidal ideation was basically reviving or basically highlighting the lack of choice and the lack of, oh my goodness, the lack of need to be able to participate and do life, knowing that life never belonged to me and life was never mine and I could never be happy. And that for the people that choose to love me and are around me because of the situation I was in, that it made me a hindrance to them as well. So there is that guilt that you constantly feel being in a relationship with people who love you and who really care for you, who wants you to do well, and also being in a situation that you didn't choose that's constantly causing you harm and basically deteriorating you and making you the worst and worst version of yourself, putting you more depression, putting you more anxiety. One day I'll probably like walk through it properly. I'm just talking about it in terms of like, on the side, because it's like I'm reflecting a lot, like, in the stage of this, the first birthday where I'm like, wow, I'm excited for what the future holds for me. Like, I don't even know what is going to come. Like, it could be bad, it could be great, it could be amazing, but I'm excited. This is the first birthday where I feel free. I'm liberated. And the idea, the possibilities is, is, is just, it's just wow. It's like wow, like, and this is why I get so overwhelmed by a lot of the things that happen in my life, because I never dreamt of them happening for me. I never dreamt that I could have these things, because I never believed that they could be mine, because life was never mine. My life wasn't mine. My dreams wasn't mine. What I could have was never mine. It belonged to somebody else. Um, and this person determined how it would go and how it would be. And it took me a long time to kind of break that shackles and get out of it and feel like I have power, and that I am able to kind of like claim my life back for myself and have my life for myself. And there was a conversation I was having with my therapist, and we were talking about um you know being in a place where like you can dream. And I was like telling my therapist that like I never ever dreamt. Like, it got to a place in my childhood, um particularly when most people, like particularly like your preteens into your early teens, a lot of kids are dreaming, like dreaming about possibilities of career and possibilities of love, and relationships and romanticism and all of that stuff, and exploring themselves and stuff like that. And at that stage, at that very very young stage, I was surviving. I was figuring out ways to kind of survive my environment and survive my reality. And for a lot of children, because most of us end up being an adult, right? But we don't go back and see ourselves and empathize ourselves as children. Like, a child shouldn't be in that position. A child shouldn't be a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old shouldn't be waking up every day and thinking, okay, how am I going to survive today? They should be waking up thinking, okay, school is fucking boring. I hate my teacher. And I fancy this guy in my class or this girl in my class. Like, that should be a child's reality, not, okay, what is going to make things hard for me, and how do I work to make sure that it's not as impactful, or the impact doesn't land so crazy. A few people in this life live crazy lives. And so this is what happened when me and my friends we were doing an age test, like a mental age test. This was during the pandemic. And we did an age test, and my friends were really close to their age in terms of like, the age test. And I did mine, and I was in my mid-20s at that time. And the age test were, oh, actually, you were mid-40s for your mental age. And it's like really crazy. And then the fascinating thing about that is that mentally I'm so grown in so many things, but also mentally I'm so stunted in a lot of things, and also having to work on that, having to deal on that and stuff like that. It's crazy. It's a crazy crazy place to be. And for me now, it's like getting to a place of being like, okay, I'm about to turn 31. For the first time ever in my life, I'm living for myself. Sans all things that were influencing, that was basically being part of my control, my abuse, whatever. And how can I make this a joyous and beautiful life for myself? And it's crazy. Oh my God. It's scary, and it's crazy, and it's exciting. It's exciting. It makes me emotional as well. And even though I talk about the fear of dreaming, I still allowed myself to dream in some ways. I was rebellious. The reason I was able to escape my situation and get out was because I was rebellious. Even though the rebellion was painful, the rebellion was hard, and I got punished heavily a lot of the time for rebelling, for fighting for myself, for choosing to do things for myself. I got punished very much for it. However, the rebellion served me really well. And there's this list that I made, because when I used to do my call center job, there was this girl that I met in my call center job. She was Ghanaian. She was called Mel, sweetheart. We still keep in contact. And me and Mel would do a list of things, and like we'd be like, oh, like a list of 30 before 30, 30 things we want to do before we turn 30. Now, I didn't get to 30, I'm not gonna lie, because it was not so much that I aspired to and I dreamt of. But I did this list, and I'm just gonna go through just so I can have a little bit of a laugh. But also, it's in this list that makes me now want to also go on to what I hope and dream for myself and moving forward and in the future. But let's take a laugh break. 'Cause I bet this episode is intense for a lot of people who love me, who listen to this as well. Like, I bet it's not going to be easy listening to this, but I'm glad to be able to kind of be open and vulnerable and share these things. I am learning more so like what my why is for this podcast, why I'm doing it, and what I basically want to curate for this podcast. And for a lot of people who come from cultural backgrounds, right? It doesn't even have to be a Black or African background, just like, South Asian, East Asian, very cultural practices in place that sometimes doesn't enable bad behavior from abusers, enable bad behavior from people who like to oppress, control. I'm realizing that my why in this earth is to kind of help empower those people to walk out. And even more so, not just that as well, but to give language to a lot of people who do not understand what they've gone through, because it took me a lot of it took me educating myself a lot, and basically also like pushing boundaries to get to where I am now. And one thing about being in an abusive relationship and surviving from abuse is that it's a lonely place. It's a really, really lonely place. And it's really hard to get people who are in particularly around you to understand. It's a lot of explanation, it's a lot of patience, it's a lot of communication and conversation. When you do not have the language for things, it can make things hard. And in a sense, I kind of share my story and do this podcast mostly for myself, because I'm trying to document the things that I've been through, so I can kind of memorize them, but also to hopefully help someone who is in it, who happened to end up in a situation that they didn't choose to end up in, who's trying to, for some reason, just find a little bit of joy in this life that they've been given that they didn't choose to have, and try to make the best of it and not feel defeated and beaten down by it, and find happiness and find beauty in the life that they've been given. And I'm really hoping that me being rebellious and me being radical and me being like, yeah, this happened to me, but no, that's not going to stop me from living. That's not going to stop me from having a good life. That's not going to stop me from breaking generational curses and choosing to get all the good things for me, will make somebody also fight for themselves so hard. Because the thing about being in an abusive relationship, whichever way it is that nobody's going to fight harder for you than yourself. You know, nobody's going to ever fight harder for you than yourself. You have to fight for yourself. You have to stand up for yourself. You have to um, just keep pushing for yourself. But anyway, 30 before 30, let's talk about it. Let's take a break and then I'll come back to the things I wish for myself. 2021. Oh my God. So I loved list and journaling and writing things down, because I think that it really helped me process the situation I was in. I didn't have a proper understanding of the situation I was in until I fully got out, until I fully understood what I was in to get out. I knew there was a problem. From the age of 6, I knew there was a problem. But it took me a while to understand what my situation was and what I needed to get out of, what I needed to escape. And I also had a standard and a criteria for myself. And that standard criteria for myself meant that, like, whatever was offered to me, I was like, that's not good enough. That's just not good enough. And even though I felt beaten down and I felt lost and I felt like, oh my God, like, I don't deserve anything and I don't deserve the best or whatever. When I was at the bottom of the lowest, because I've been broken down to be in that place, I still felt like I deserved. And I think that that's one I want to credit myself for, is the fact that I never stopped loving myself, even though my environment and the community and the people around me was telling me to not love myself and basically like give up on myself, abandon myself for the greater good, or for basically the embodiment and the enabling of what the culture says it should be. I never gave up on myself. I prioritized myself and I held myself up. And that has been my greatest source of blessing. It's me constantly fighting for myself to give myself what I want. You know what I mean? Even though I came out with bruises, let me tell you, the bruises are real. The PTSD, the CPTSD is real. It's real. It's real. But I'm out and I'm joyful. I'm out. So in my 30 before 30 list. Oh my God, this is a very intense episode. Oh my God. I really hope like this is like so much. I'm putting so much out of it. Sorry. But it's also so exciting. I really hope that I can help. I can find a community of people who are like me, who life really beat down because, wrong place, wrong time. And they've really been radical in seeking joy and happiness for their life. I really hope I find you guys. I really do. Anyway, let me do my 30 before 30. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is crazy. So my 30 before 30, this was when I was age 24. 24, Lydia. 24 Abanga, girl. Oh my God, that girl was, oh my goodness. She made some amazing decisions. She made the choice for me to go and do my master's. She made the choice for me to think about career-wise, how to be strategic and go for a better career. Oh my God, I love myself so much. I'm just so proud of myself. I'm proud of the girl that I was and how tenacious and how just driven that she was to get the best for all of me. I'm so grateful for her. Anyway, so one of the I only did it to 21 guys, so we only got 21. I'm going to rush through them really quickly. So travel, go to America or East Asia. America is still pending, but I have done East Asia. I did Indonesia later last year, and I also did Singapore. So I did Bali and I did Singapore. Wonderful, wonderful. Finally done Asia. And I can't wait to do more of Asia. I'm a huge, huge fan of Korean dramas. I can't wait to do some Korean reviews on here. I've watched some really good Korean dramas of late. Korean ones, I can't wait to do Korea. Can't wait to do Japan. Watch a lot of anime, so I can't wait to do that. Vietnam, because your food is elite. Elite. I can't wait to do Vietnam and Malaysia and just all these places. Guys, I come from nothing. Nothing. The bed I used to sleep on till the age of 15 was like this thin on a bleeding red floor. Like, I come from nothing. So to be able to do this for myself is like, wow, glorious, beautiful. So yeah, can't wait to go to Asia and do more of Asia. But America's pending because, maybe South America, because North America, let's not talk. And 30K by the time I'm 30. Oh my God. Salary was a big thing for me. Me and my friends, we used to do this. We're like 30 before 30, 30K before 30. Oh my God, I'm not going to go into my salaries and my earnings, but I will say that I definitely achieved that way before, right before actually I turned 30, which was really great for me. Like it shows like my work ethic and how much I fought. And that's the thing about it is like when you keep putting into it, you will be disappointed. There may be times where you're like, oh, I'm going to give up because nothing is showing up for me. I'm unlucky. Nothing's going to come up for me, but I'm a believer in keep pouring into the bucket and one day it'll overflow. Just keep pouring into it. No matter how defeated, bent, out of shape, broken that you are, just keep pouring into the bucket. And one day something will come for you. I'm a big believer in that because I did, and luck got my way. I got lucky because I just kept pouring. Try oysters. I did. Don't like it, but I did. Get a tattoo. I have two. Be a size 12 or 14. Okay. Working on that. Working on that. I have lost a lot of weight of late. Working on my physical health. Like, I'm finally catching up. I'm not in a rush. I just want to be healthy, physically, just healthy. And that's the most important thing, not even about how I look. Because I know I'm a gorgeous, gorgeous girl. Guys, have you seen my face? Yeah. Anyway, let me stop being narcissistic. And I love that. Move out of the town that I was in. And I did. I did. And that was one of the greatest thing I could do for myself. Every time I talk about, healing from your mental health and your mental struggles or the mental illness that you carry, I always tell people to change your environment. It's a big thing, changing your environment. Find the courage to leave your environment. It makes a huge difference. I think that it puts a barrier to whatever is causing you to struggle, and it kind of puts you in a place where you can ruminate, reflect, and finally focus on yourself. And I did. I'm so proud of myself. Buy a house. Not yet, but that's the modern world that we live in. Financial crisis. I'll get there one day. Maybe next year I can say that. I don't have a house. I rent. On our way to working towards that. Ooh. No, I don't know if I should say this one. I've always struggled when it comes to relationships, friendships, all kinds of relationships. So we're just gonna like say it says that, oh, meet someone I can trust, like, a potential partner that I can trust. Yet to come, but sis is working on herself. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get there. I'm coming. I'm coming. They better be ready for me. All of this. They better be ready for all of this. And I have had people come and go just because, like, Just didn't work for each other. That's fine. Yes, a girl is single. That's what I'm trying to say. A girl is single. I just feel like I'm sharing so much about myself. The internet, you have to be careful. You have to be careful. um, have an adventurous sexual experience. Now, I am a little bit private, but this is what I'm gonna say. I did go to a sex club in Berlin, and it was a very interesting one. I was a voyeur. I wasn't there to like. I was just voyeuring. Very fascinated. Very, very fascinated. And I do want to talk about sex one day on this podcast. I wonder how people receive it. I want to talk about everything, guys. Like, there's not going to be boundaries here. If you're here, you're going to be hearing about everything. So wait for it. It's going to be fun. Oh, have a business slash a side hustle. Hello, business. Hello, slash side hustle podcast. It wasn't really like a business per se. Like, I'm not very much a business oriented, but I've always wanted to be a creative, and I'm glad that I'm actually pursuing a creative endeavor. So I'm doing it. Yay. Hike a mountain or trek. No, I haven't said I hiked a mountain, but when I was in Australia, I went to this park that was on top of a mountain. So I don't know if that counts. Hope my friend Rav approve of this. But I feel like I've been on top of a mountain somewhere. It wasn't a hike, but hey. Oh, work abroad. I always wanted to do that at uni. Never got a chance to do it. Hope I get to do it at some point. It's never too late. It will come probably in terms of like what I hope for myself in the future. Travel, at least 7 countries in Africa. Yo, I have only done 2. I'm hoping to do my 3rd one this year. I done Uganda and of course my birth country, which is Ghana. I hope to do more. I really hope to do more. I really want to see the continent. I feel like it's such a beautiful, beautiful. Namibia is definitely on top of my list because that desert. Can't wait. But yeah, hopefully one day. But yeah, hopefully one day I'm able to do that. I have traveled a lot, which is good. Be happy and content. 24-year-old Lydia. I am happy and I am content. I really am. I really, really am. And I'm so grateful to have that. I'm so, so grateful to have that. Thank you for wishing that for me, 24-year-old Abanga. Thank you. Skydive or bungee jump? No, not yet. I would want to do that. They're very adventurous, very risky, and I like to do risky things. So, yeah. Going to a yacht party. That has not happened. I have been to a lot of parties, but not a yacht one. Yeah, it will come at some point. Have closer relationships. It's not what I exactly said, but have closer relationships because I've kind of had a bit of revelation of things. And I have much more close relationships now, much more intimate relationships now, which I'm really grateful for. Be myself with my people, which I am. The good, the bad, the annoying, the flawed. You know what I mean? The sad, the depressed, the everything. I am that. And I'm grateful for that too. Be forgiving. Open. And I have been forgiving and open. I think my forgiveness and openness has kind of taught me a lot, opened my eyes to a lot of things, got me to see certain people differently, humanize some relationships that I've been in, be empathetic and compassionate to some people I've basically built a relationship with. So yeah, I feel like I've gotten there for sure. One thing I have learned, like one day we talk about forgiveness, is I'm Christian, and Christianity, I realized, and I've also done a fake episode, so go check it out. I realized is that I have a conflict when it comes to Christianity because I feel like Christianity enables bad behavior, enables abuse, and kind of like dismisses his experiences of victims. And is in that discomfort in my Christianity that sometimes I really struggle with it, particularly when it comes to things when you raise experiences you've had to people and those people are Christians. The first thing they're very quick to say to you is to forgive and let go and move on, instead of actually being like, I'm really sorry that this was your experience. I'm really sorry that you've had to suffer and struggle so much. I'm really so sorry that that this is kind of what you've been exposed to. And I hope that one day you get to a place where you let go and, you build your life and you're happy and you move forward. I think that for me, that's what encompasses forgiveness. Forgiveness is being able to allow yourself to live happily and wholeheartedly without guilt, without shame, without restrictions, and knowing that life is for you and life is meant for you. I think that forgiveness should be focused on the person that has been done harm to, not the person who did the harm. And in a sense, we live in a space, particularly for Christians, where we focus on the harmer rather than actually focusing on the victim and the pain and the thing that they had to basically tolerate to be able to get through what they got through. So I have to say that I've gotten to a place of forgiveness for sure. Not even for the person, but for me. I know the forgiveness is definitely for me. Forgiveness is me um understanding and seeing the reality of the situation I've been in and moving past it and not letting whatever may come from that hopefully affect and influence me moving forward. And that's me basically forgiving myself for allowing myself to be in that situation and tolerating it and dealing with it. So yeah, it's a crazy one, but yeah, even when I wrote that at that time, I think that I was there was a lot of resentment, there was a lot of anger, there, and I didn't even recognize that emotion. And I think that like I thought that like, forgiving the people will make my situation better. And there's some situations that you just know accepting and forgiving the people is harming yourself more than it is helping you. It's actually causing you more harm. It's actually deteriorating your life. It's actually um basically delaying you from being able to achieve the joys of life, what we all as human beings are entitled to, even though it's not perfect for everybody, what we all as human beings are entitled to. So yeah. I'm in a place of forgiveness for sure, and it's a beautiful place to be as well because it means that like you're moving forward and things are getting better. Go see F1. I do not have the money for that. I need to get lucky. Hopefully one day, who knows? I do have a bougie dream and go to a festival, and I have been to loads. One of my favorite actually was last year. One of my really favorite artists called Yusuf Days. He's a drummer, makes beautiful, beautiful jazz albums. And he had a festival with South Facing in South London called Summer Days. And honestly, it was one of the most amazing festivals I had been in. I was literally in a space where my transition was like right into of the beginning of my transition into moving from surviving into thriving because everything had already lied dormant, and like the healing was really in full force, and just being in that environment, being so free, like, I just still remember that feeling. It's just so beautiful. It was like just the relaxing, just being amongst people who are like very free people. People call it hippies, and just dancing and just listening to good music and eating good food. I had one of the best jerk um chicken and chips meal I've had in a while. My friend also went and got us some jollof, and the jollof banged. It was a nice jollof, and it banged. It was like just good food. Go to see my favorite artist, who is like my crush, Miss Sego. Oh my God, sir. Sorry. And he did invite a lady onto the stage, and my friend was like to me, girl, if it was you, I would have fainted, right? I would have fainted right there. The funny thing is, I say this and I think about the past where I never even allowed myself to be able to humor myself and dream about these things, because in the space where like it was so serious and I could never be like that. This is all part of my rebellion. This is all part of me basically being like, I am out, I am happy, and I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I wanna do. And the music was so great. I got to see his amazing artists, discover new artists called Charlotte Dale Wilson, who I am obsessed with now. Her song Work is like something to me. Work is like, I think probably from her point of view, it's probably like a feminist anthem. But that song means like so much to me now because it's like about the work that I'm doing to heal myself, to find liberation. And every time I listen to that song, it just sticks to my soul. And it applies to so many things, because when my friend discovered her actually, and when she was like, oh, I'm excited to see that artist, Charlotte Dale Wilson, she was like, they played a song over a couple having a conflict in a movie, and that's how I discovered her. And it's like how that song can reflect in something like a song, and the subjectivity to what a song means to people when they listen to it, depending on what stage of their life they're in. And every time I listen to that song, it makes me feel comforted about the work that I'm doing for myself, for my liberation, for my joy, for my happiness. So yeah. And so yeah, it was one of the best festivals I've been in, I must say. I wish I stayed to the end. I rushed my friend for us to go because I was trying to leave, and I wish I had just stayed till right to the end and enjoyed, because Yusuf is a phenomenal, phenomenal musician with his band. I think with Venna, who's on the sax, and I think another guy who's on the keys. I wish I knew the name. Just amazing, just amazing. So I've done so many festivals. Can't wait to do more. I will hopefully want to do some international ones as well. That'd be really, really nice. And just like, because music is like so important to me. Music has been one of the things that have kept me going, and one of the things that have kind of helped me emote and understand my emotions, particularly when I didn't have language for my emotions, because I was so stunted when it came to emotion expression and stuff like that. So yeah. And oh my goodness. Now our transition to the end. So ending on a good note, how am I transitioning now? Like, what am I looking forward to turning 31? It's good to be here, I will say, guys. It's good to be here. For anybody, if you know anyone who've had a challenging life, who's come from an abusive relationship, who's come from a place where they were basically in a coercive, controlling situation, where they didn't have freedom, where they didn't have autonomy, where they didn't have access to themselves because of what way they wanted to live, it's a very challenging place to be. And to be in that place and not have language for it, to feel the shame that you feel when you're in that situation, to be like, why am I allowing this to happen to me? Why am I allowing myself to be here? Why can't I escape? Why can't I leave? Like, why am I stuck in this place? Either due to extenuating circumstances, cultural obligations, religious obligations, like things that perpetuate us to basically stay in this environment. It's like you come out and you're so raw. You come out and you're so like defeated, and you have moments where I have moments like I was doing my check-in in the beginning, where I have moments where I'm up and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited, I can't wait to happen. There are moments where I'm down and I'm so exhausted, I don't have energy for anything, I don't want to do anything, I don't want to participate in anything. I also realize that this is part of the process, and this is why I say I'm in transition. Because to be able to get into thriving, I need to have energy to thrive. And at the moment, I don't have a lot of energy to thrive because I'm catching up to all that like I lost in terms of energy in surviving for 30 years. 30, 3 decades. 3 decades of surviving. Oh my God. But in turning 31, I'm really excited. There's plans, there's things that I have for myself, there's dreams that I have that I never allowed myself to have, even as a kid. The aspiration, just a lot of aspirations that I have. There's a lot of um, just excitement of a lot of things that I want to do. And in turning 31, I'm just looking forward to be able to center myself for the first time ever in my whole life. Center me, Abanga Lydia. You know, one of the beautiful things about my name is that it means knowledge. And I truly believe that it's in the knowledge of knowing the things that I know that's got me to survive, and that's got me to basically get to a place of thriving, or walking into a place of thriving. And a name that was given to me out of whatever became one of my biggest empowerment, one of my biggest encouragers to keep pushing, to keep going. And I do not want to give up on myself. I want to keep pushing for myself. I want to keep giving myself the best of the best, the most amazing things in the world. I want to love myself the most. Even though I love myself a lot more now, I still want to love myself the most out of everything in this world. I want to carry myself in the highest regard, in the most beautiful, beautiful way. I want to make my community and the people around me feel loved, feel exalted, feel content and beautiful within themselves. I want to empower people around me. I want people around me to know that they are powerful, they have power, they have autonomy, they have control, and using it wisely, not in a punitive way, not in a controlling way, not in a manipulative way, but actually as a force for good and not a force for bad or a force for harm. I want to serve. I really want to serve. When I finally got out of the situation I was in, I reached out to all my loved ones, and I basically told them that I wanted to say thank you to them. I wanted to thank them because I always say that, like, it takes a group of bad bees, right, to get a bitch out of an abusive relationship. It takes some strong people, some strong-willed people to just stay with you. One thing I know for sure is that, like, when you're in a position that I was in, is that a lot of people give up on you because it's exhausting to be in a relationship with somebody who's in a situation like that, who doesn't see. And not just that they don't see, but they're also very vulnerable, and therefore they stumble or they falter. And therefore it gets tiring for the people that love them. It gets tiring to see the people that they love so much be in that position, in that situation, and just keep allowing it to be the way that it is. It's in me being served by so many people who are here, people who have gone, people who empowered me, who told me that I was the shit, that I was worth something, that I was beautiful, that I was amazing, I had a great heart, and I was a good person, and I was lovable, and I was kind, and there were so many things that was lovable about me, and there were so many things that were like so special about me, and I was talented, and I could keep pushing, and that like I was smart, you know what I mean? Academically, I could be a bad bee and I could boss it. Like my friend Anu, she was like to me, sis, you can do that masters. You can do that masters. You know what I mean? Like my girlfriends that I did my masters were like, yes, go be creative. Go do your podcast, my friend Anna and Ava. You know what I mean? Like my friend Sia telling me about the fact that career-wise I'm not behind and I just need to keep pushing, giving me strategic point of views. You know, my friend Yasin just constantly checking me and being like, sis, this is who you need to be. Feel empowered. The fact that she even have an organization empowering women is not surprising to me because that's who she is. My ride or die jabs, who have always been there and told me, sis, I'm not allowing you to go back. You need to keep cooking. You need to keep going forward. You need to keep pushing. You know what I mean? Loved ones that I have right now who I'm not even in contact or in a relationship with, who just gave me a listening ear and was like, sis, you deserve more. Don't give up on yourself. You deserve more. There's so many people. There's just so many people that served me. And in a sense, it makes me also want to serve people and help in the best way that I can within my capabilities because it's exhausting out here being a server. I used to work at McDonald's, guys. It's not a joke. Being a server is tough, but I really hope I'm of service to people who have lost themselves. Who, and this is going to be a really good way to end actually, who have lost themselves, who feel like there's no beginning because you're either in your 30s and it's over. Because when you immediately, if people get to your 30s, it's over for me. I went to this talk with these women who are elder daughters in household, like basic cultural household, and a lot of them are like, oh, it's over for me. I'm 34, I'm 30 this, and it's like done and done. I'm like, it's not over. Are you on your deathbed? If you're on your deathbed, you could tell me it's over. But until you're on your deathbed, it's not. It's not. And I'm hoping that I'm able to serve those people. But to basically end on this, it's like, you know, the next chapter. How do I you know, go from there, go from here and move to the future? It's like it's not over. There's so much more. The fact that like I'm 30 doesn't mean the life is over. Life is even beginning. Life is getting exciting. Life is getting more fun. And I'm really excited about that. I'm looking forward to the opportunities that may come my way, good or bad, because everything is a learning curve for me. I've come to realize that everything is a learning curve, man. You learn from it. And you know, what I aspire to is to be able to embolden myself, to be able to toughen myself, to be able to find the confidence to be able to do all the things that I wanted to do that I never allowed myself to do because I gave up on myself. You know, I hope the people who are walking on this journey with me are also not giving up on themselves, not giving up on anything that they aspired to, anything that they wanted. And that's in anything. It doesn't have to be career. It doesn't have to be relationship. It could be in the littlest thing. Like, I just want to do a quick trip here. I want to be able to come home and eat whatever I want to eat. You know what I mean? Or I just want to like literally explore and like, you know, just be authentically who I am or build community. Like, I really hope that I'm able to help people not give up on themselves because I choose to not give up on myself and think that I'm the shit. You know, and think that I am the shit. And, you know, I hope I'm able to help people also realize that they deserve more, they deserve community, they deserve love, they deserve the good things in this world because we all do. One thing I know about life, it's tough. It's fucking raggedy. And you need to fight to give yourself the best. You need to fight to give yourself the good things, the beautiful things for yourself. And sometimes you get lucky when the beautiful things find you, but sometimes you have to go and find them yourself. And I'm on that journey. I'm looking forward to this transition being over because, it's tough, it's exhausting. But at the same time, too, I'm looking forward to the other side of coming out of transition and finally being able to be one with myself, not just my mind, but also with my body, my mind with my heart, my mind with my soul, you know, and just and just enjoy the perks and the joys and the beautiful beauty of life. There's this imagery that my therapist gave me when I was like really struggling, and she was like to me, I just want you to see, like, just imagine a world of peace, a life where you're at a stage of your life where a lot of the dreams that you've had, you've achieved it, and you sit in a back garden and it's quiet and the wind is blowing, and you're just outside and you're just enjoying your scenery and all the things that you dream of being around you, and just being at peace, being in beauty. A lot of the stuff that all of us who are here on this earth are hoping for and are willing to achieve is safety, peace, some joy, some love, some laughter. And we want it to be consistent, but that's not how life works. But we hopefully want it to be more of that, less worry, less anxiety. And it's tougher and tougher to have that the older we get, and the more beaten down we become, and the older we get, and we get told that actually, no, you don't deserve anything because you're older, and that you need to succumb, and that you do not need to be rebellious, and that you do not need to have any energy to fight for or chase or want things. And I'm here to be like, let's chase, let's want, let's fight, let's continue to fight, but differently. Not fighting to survive, but fighting to try, fighting to sustain and maintain the good, the beautiful things for us. Let's fight for a beautiful life. I turned 31 today, and after 31, I hope I turn 32 and 50, surpassing when my mom died at 53 and 60 and 70. I hopefully want to be on my deathbed and be like, the first 30 years was raggedy, was atrocious with some good stuff, but the last few decades, I bust that shit. I bust that shit. And I made sure it was mine. I made sure it was worth it. I made sure I enjoyed it and I had fun, and I didn't let whatever that was imposed on me, the anxieties, the fear, just the need to be like, oh my God, it's gonna be bad. The pessimism didn't deter me from getting what was mine. And I actually did get what was mine. And it wasn't perfect, but it was what was fucking mine. And I was entitled to that. We all are. We all are. I want to thank you if you listened to this and if you joined me on my vulnerabilities. I didn't know how this episode was going to go, in all honesty. I kind of wanted to record something, come back with something a little bit more vulnerable, looking pretty. I need to come one day looking busted, like, yeah. Every smoke, I put perfume on and I'm recording in the house. Oh my God. For the next year, what do I have? No goals. My next year, I am literally going to be resting. I am allowing myself rest. I'm not even putting any pressure on myself to chase anything or want anything. I'm just resting. I'm allowing myself to be that. Before, I did that when I was trying to escape my feelings of being in rest. And I'm now like, you know what? Let's be uncomfortable in rest and let's get used to rest. And so this next year, in my 31, my early 30s, I am resting. I am allowing myself to just mellow out and just relax and just, yeah. I'm allowing myself to be there because I've never allowed myself that. So I'm going to see how that turns out. I'm going to let you know. And that's why I said that the theme for this year's body, my body deserves a huge apology, but also a huge care for how much my body has basically sustained me and kept me surviving for all this time. I've got so much gratitude for my body for what she has done for me, you know. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to me be so vulnerable. It's not easy talking about these things, but I want to be more adventurous. I truly believe that the more we share in the world that we live in, the more a lot of us find commonality, and a lot more all of us see ourselves and see each other, and are able to empathize and encourage and push each other. And so I hope that this brought validation to someone, this brought some comfort to someone. And if not, I let a lot out for myself, and I'm happy about that. I'm happy to be like, yeah, I admit it. I was in an abusive relationship for 30 years of my life. And I'm on the other side. Ew. And I'm happy and I'm celebratory. You know what I mean? And I don't hold too much grudges. I still hold some grudges, but I don't hold too much grudges. And I'm moving on with my life. And it's going to be a beautiful one. And I hope that people are allowing themselves to be able to do that as well so they can move on and do life and be happy. But thank you so much for listening to me be vulnerable. Thank you so much for you know, whew. Thank you so much for your patience. I'm grateful. Whomever tunes in to listen, I'm grateful. Share with anybody that you think may need to hear this, who are struggling, who do not know, who just, need some comforting or just want to hear a bitch talk about her life problems, an issue on the internet. I dare. And I hope to bring more episodes. I've got a few episodes, so I hope to bring more episodes in the future. And don't take a long break again, but it probably will happen again as I'm still healing and as I'm going through it. And I am going to be at Kew Gardens enjoying the orchids. Enjoying some flowers. I'm gonna put some of last year's pictures, hopefully at the end, because beautiful, beautiful. Just going to see pretty things and see nature and see beautiful things, and I'm just looking forward to just loving myself a lot this year. But thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any comments or also stories that you want to share, please email me or put it in the comment section. I'm so grateful. Like this episode, share this episode, distribute it, put it out there, hopefully the algorithm let people find me because I know I deserve to be found. And I'll be back on next week's episode. Thank you so much and happy birthday to me, glittering and all. Thank you so much. Love you all. Love you. Bye. Da, da, da. Can I call you tonight? I'm trying to make up my mind. Just how I feel. Can you tell me what's real? I hear your voice tonight, and I'm no longer alone. Just how I feel. Can you tell me what's real? Wow, I really did think I was going to be a musician with that voice. Anyway.
Raggedy.